Grade 3, I welcome you to today's English lesson. This week we've been reading Lesson 16, Judy Moody Saves the World. And today's lesson's objective is to identify the characteristics of a good persuasive letter and write one. Please don't forget to pause this video and replay it for better understanding. Before we begin today's assignment, let's talk about why would you be writing a persuasive letter. So we're going to look into the author's purpose, and we'll look at the three main basic reasons why an author would write. And I want you to remember it as the pie. There are more purposes, but we're going to focus on these three basic ones for now, for starters. So remember the pie. Either it's to persuade, to inform, or to entertain. Now, we've looked into informational writing in the past few weeks. We've looked into entertainment in writing in the form of the humorous fiction Lesson 16 that we read. Today, you're going to attempt at persuasive writing, and that too in a letter form. Great. So what we're going to do is that we're going to write a persuasive letter. And let's just talk about the word persuasive itself. What it means is to persuade or trying to convince someone. So you're trying to make a point, and you're trying to convince someone by stating your opinion and facts that support your opinion. And advertisements, newspaper columns are a good example of persuasive writing when they want to sell something and you want to read it, and they're going to put in some facts and information for the reader to get convinced to buy their product. So that's a form of persuasive writing. But we're going to be looking into how you can write a persuasive letter today. On this slide, we're going to discuss the phases of the writing process. And now we know that no matter what form of writing you might attempt at, there is a process that we need to follow. And the very first thing you do is that you pre-write. It's the first stage that's followed by process, and then drafting, revising, editing, and finally publishing. So the first thing you're going to do is that no matter what the topic is, you're going to do some research. All right, you're going to collect some information. And you're going to make a standpoint where you will decide what your opinion about the topic is, and then you'll collect convincing ideas that should be backed up by facts and information so that you can convince the reader and make your point and persuade the reader thereby. So that's the first step, pre-write. Next, what you do is that there should be an outline, because this is a letter writing task. You have to have your headings in place, introductory paragraph, a paragraph that talks about the subject, and you're going to provide supporting details to the topic. Then you might want to add an opposing view paragraph where you might discuss the other point of view, but then at the end of it all, you have to conclude by putting in a statement or a paragraph, if you've put in a lot of elaborations, that supports your evidence. All right. And finally, you're going to proofread, edit, and then publish your letter. All right, grade 3. So first what we're going to do is that we're going to look at a model of a persuasive letter, and I will discuss the different parts of this model video. So let's have a closer look. But before I do that, I want you to note the 6 labels that you can see on this model. You can see that there's a heading, there's an inside address. Now there's something new. And we'll come to it in a while. Then you've got the greeting, you've got the topic, you've got this topic is basically your topic sentence. This is where you start with your opening paragraph. Then comes your opinion, followed by linking words, and then reasoning. And down below you can see that this is an elaborated persuasive letter. We'll come to it in a bit. So let's have a closer view at the first 3 things that I want you to note that are very important. So you start with the heading. Heading is where you put the date and your address. You're the author, so author's address. Okay. Next comes the inside address, which is the address of the person you're writing to. This is especially true, and it's added in business letters. Not so much in friendly letters, but then in business letters you add those. And then here on this slide, the third part is the greeting. You already know about it, dear, and the name of the person or the authority that you're writing to, followed by a comma usually. Here you can say this is address to Jefferson School News, so there's a colon. Great, let's go ahead. The next part we're going to focus on is these four things that I've mentioned. Now, after the greeting, you begin with the opening paragraph, and the first statement is your opening statement. So that's going to be your topic sentence. Let's read this one. Please announce that there will be a recycling drive this Saturday. So you can see that the very first opening sentence tells you what this letter is going to be about. Then comes your opinion. Let's read it. We want students of all ages to take part in the drive because they need to learn how important recycling is for the earth. So that's your opinion. And then you've given a reasoning as well. I want you to notice on the linking word that's being emphasized here with an arrow, because now you're in grade 3, so you've got to use linking words in your writing. Next, let's look at the reasoning why there's a recycling drive. Okay, let's read ahead. Recycling helps save resources by cutting down on the amount of new materials that need to be made. Recycling also keeps landfills from growing. So here is where you're putting in your opinion that is fact-based, okay, true facts, trying to persuade and convince the reader to agree to the recycling drive or the attendance to the recycling drive. Let's look at all right, on this slide, we're going to look at the second paragraph that's added to elaborate writing. So, more reasoning. Let's read the reasoning, followed by concluding statement. We're going to read that too. And then you're already aware of the closing explanation. So let's look at more reasoning. Because remember, you're trying to persuade. So you've got to have very strong, solid points that are supported with facts and details. So let's read. At the drive, parents can also volunteer for other programs that help the environment. The Recycle at Work and Green Spaces programs help keep a community clean and healthy. And then comes the concluding statement. Announcing the recycling drive in the Jefferson School News will be a big step in bringing students and parents together to help our planet. This is how you conclude your statement. You summarize everything. You again reinforce what you're looking for, what's the point you're trying to make to the reader, and then you conclude it this way. Followed by closing, sincerely, and then your signature, that's your name. All right, grade 3, so what's the assignment today? What I want you to do is that I want you to write a persuasive letter. And the topic is going to be you trying to persuade the principal of your school that we should use less paper. Now, this is related to conservation. We've been going through this topic in lesson 16. And what you can do is that you can recall whatever you read in Judy Moody Saves the World. You can do your research on the internet about conservation. Why do we need to use less paper? Paper comes from trees. Why do we need trees? It's a natural resource, and we know all those facts that are that we've studied in science. So again, let me repeat, you have to first do a pre-write, remember. Then follow the process and the steps that I have explained in this lesson. You can always go back to this video and repeat, review, so that you don't make any mistakes. And I'm going to share a writer's checklist with you in our post today, so don't forget to go through it as well. Please do not forget to do this work in your copybook. Follow the steps that have been shared, and bring your work to school so that I can check it and we can reflect on it together, and you'll be sharing your opinion with the class. So you'll be presenting your letter. And if you have any queries, please do not forget to leave a comment in e-discussions. Best of luck, grade 3.